the thing that a lot of people have issues with when they launch membership sites is that their members join, they go in and they feel lost because maybe you have a lot of content and they don't have this sort of like guidance. They don't know where to go. They're just like poking around videos and just jumping from here to there. So I always recommend if there's a way for you to give them this almost like onboarding experience. I always use this analogy of giving them the tour of the house at the beginning so they can feel that they know where they can go when they need something, and then they can find their own way around it.
Welcome to Marketing and Mindset for Wellness Coaches, the podcast for health coaches and wellness entrepreneurs just like you who are building a business, making the world a healthier place, and designing a first-class life. I'm your host, Kim Foster, MD and certified business coach, and I'm on a mission to help you up-level your strategy and raise your mindset so you can truly thrive and grow your business. Let's get started. So I'm wondering, have you thought about creating a membership site? For many coaches and entrepreneurs, this is the holy grail. Recurrent income every month is definitely what many people aspire to achieve, and for good reason. But it's not so simple to create a membership, of course. There are a lot of ways it can go wrong. Now, my guest today has seen countless coaches launch membership sites to escape the grind of one-to-one work, only to end up accidentally driving clients away. And so she has a lot of wisdom to share about how to design your membership site the right way. Jennifer Dopazo is a graphic designer specializing in brand identity and interaction design, and she is the founder of a multimedia design studio and a 3-time American Graphic Design Award winner. She has worked with some incredibly impressive companies like the New York Times, Pepsi, Nickelodeon, along with authors and thought leaders like Danielle LaPorte. And today you are going to get to listen in to the conversation that I had with Jennifer recently about how to design a membership site. She shares how to avoid the common mistakes that coaches make when designing their membership sites, and she gives us her best tips for setting up a site that draws in your ideal customer. Now, before we get to my conversation with Jennifer, I just want to tell you about the sponsor for today's episode. Meal Garden. Now, if you haven't heard of it before, Meal Garden is a very flexible meal planning software for health and wellness practitioners. It was designed to improve the way that you communicate and send nutrition information to your clients. It's an easy and efficient way to share professionally curated meals with clients. And one of the things that I love about Meal Garden is that it is constantly being updated. So how it works is this: you just jump onto the platform and quickly find the right meals and recipes. There are filters that will help you to quickly create plans and collections that best suit your clients' goals. And there are over 2,500 recipes in Meal Garden that have been reviewed by a team of health professionals, so you know that you are sending your clients accurate images and ingredients and directions. Now, once you find the meals that you need, from there you can easily create professional collections for your clients. And that saves you so much time. You can customize the plans that you create by adding your logo and changing the fonts and the colors, and then you just go ahead and share with your clients. Each of your clients will have a personalized and secure app accessible from any device. So this is a huge time saver and really allows you to add an additional service to your packages to make them even more appealing for your potential clients. So I'm going to include a special link in the show notes that allows you to try it out for 50% off for the first 3 months. So I really encourage you to give it a go. Okay, without further ado, let's get into my conversation with Jennifer. Hello, Jennifer. Welcome to the podcast. I am so excited to have you here.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you today.
Yeah, awesome. I'm really looking forward to our chat. I know that you've got a lot of juicy things to talk about when it comes to designing a membership site specifically. However, before we get into everything, I would love for you to just give our listeners just a bit of context, if they're new to you. Just tell us a bit more about your story. I'd love to hear a bit more about the work that you do now and what brought you to this point.
Of course. So I am originally from Venezuela. I am a visual communication. I have a degree in visual communication, graphic design, branding, editorial, or the traditional side of design. And my first job was, imagine, doing websites in Flash and just doing interactive things like that. Then, about 13 years ago, I had the opportunity to pursue a master's degree at Parsons in New York City, which was a dream come true. I did that, and it was amazing because it was a degree called Design and Technology, and it actually introduced me to what I do today, with it, which is user experience design and product design and all that kind of like human side of how we build products for people to use. So it was really great to just sort of put a name and a process to something that intuitively, as a designer and as a creator, I was already doing. Since then, I've been consulting as a user experience designer and product designer, and I also work in my company. Just at the beginning, was doing branding, websites, and anything that had to do with your visual identity of your business or of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, any size and shape of businesses I've worked with. My business actually, it almost like became a business by an accident, because when I graduated from my master's degree, it was in May 2009. And it wasn't the best time to get a
Right.
shiny new degree after the economy collapsed. And the interesting thing was that once you are an international student, the US gives you this 1 year period where you sort of like figure out what you're going to do. Are you going to stay? Are you going to leave? If you're going to stay, figure out your visa, your papers, and all that. During that time, I started working with an artist, just sort of like helping him in some very interesting projects about access to knowledge and access to education for, people with low income and low resources, which was really phenomenal. And for me, it was just like, if this is the last thing I can do in this country, that's great. But then at the same time, I found that my first clients, my first freelance clients after graduation, were people who found themselves with no jobs, and they were trying to figure out what to do. They were either trying to start a new business. They were trying to make this side hustle more official, make this hobby something profitable, or join a partner, a spouse or a family member into helping them with that business. So it was an interesting time for me because as I didn't know anything about building a business, I was just sort of like taking projects. I could also see how people were almost in the same page, right? Like some of them, they might have spent years in corporate and suddenly they found themselves, now you have to do something by yourself. And it's a mindset that is not easy. I mean, I haven't been an employee at a corporation, but I can see and I can just relate and feel empathy for that, of just suddenly, your world changes and you have to figure out how to do this in a very stressful time. So that's why I always say that it was almost like by accident I ended up building this business to help people put themselves online, build the presence online, or launch a business. And then how I came about to just like focusing in membership websites is that I've been working in membership websites for about 4 or 5 years now. My clients would just, you know, get their communities online and get all these people together. And I would just at the beginning just help them with the tactical strategic side of it, like instructional design, user experience, and all that. And then I started getting more and more clients who wanted to do custom experiences, which it goes beyond to just, go into a Teachable, which are great platforms, all those that are ready that you can just go in and accept payments and do that, but just creating a fully customized website for them. So I've been doing that for about 4 years. And then when COVID hit, um, I really felt that I wanted to streamline or simplify my business in a way that I could at least control it. I would have more control. There were difficult times we went through. We didn't know, we still don't know how long we're going to be into this. And I decided to just put a pause in any other projects like branding and websites and, all the things that I do, like planners and stuff like that, and just focus into creating membership websites, really refining my process and being able to deliver these platforms the best way that I can, right? Like the highest quality that I want to do. And just by being focused in this one thing and being very good at it, it has allowed me to just not only be more present for my clients, but also, improve my processes in a way that it's amazing and it's way more productive. So that's how this whole almost like detox of all the process of all the services that I offer and that I can do. I mean, I can take on them, but it was just this sort of like almost self-care moment of if I can do just one thing that is really, and I'm going to be really good at it and be the best, let this be the moment to do that so I can be more present for my clients and just help them, because a lot of them, they found themselves transitioning from, I cannot do live events, I cannot be at my store, in-person things are not going to happen for a while. How can I translate this experience online? And that's where I'm at today still, focusing in membership websites, supporting clients, helping people sort of like plan that transition from the physical to the digital world in a way that it feels less scary for them and they can still have a great impact in the communities.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, of course, there's really something to be said for just you yourself, like streamlining your whole business model down
Yeah.
to just one thing that you can really like master that domain kind of thing. And that is your one thing. And that's really cool. Like, I mean, you had that experience in 2009 of like, world events shaping the direction that your business was going to go in. And now it's happening again, of course. But that's awesome that I'm sure you're seeing like tons of people who, yes, they're having to pivot also, like because everything about their business model changed, but now you're helping them in this very specific way. So that is really awesome. And you've had some really big clients, like design clients and stuff, like really prominent companies and public figures, right?
Yeah. I've been lucky to work again, as I have worked with every shape and size of businesses. I've worked with like corporations, with influencers. So I do have like an interesting mix of people that I've worked with, which I'm so grateful because all of them have taught me so many different things. And I always have this idea that clients are your best teachers somehow, because
absolutely.
as we go through processes with them, first of all, I get to learn so much about myself, into how I approach situations, or how do you embed in someone else's team, but also what are the things that you want to keep, like what are the values of your company, what are the values of your own work, so you can just work with them. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, yeah, I went through that 2009 about this change and now this, but my approach was different. 2009 I was saying yes to everything, because it was this mentality of, I need to take on everything that I humanly can. It doesn't matter if I'm not going to sleep. I'm just going to do all this work. I'm going to say yes to every single thing because that's the right thing to do and they're coming my way. But in this time, and again, I'm older, my business is a little bit more mature. I was just more about no, the world is kind of spinning again. There's a lot of things happening. If there's one thing I can control, is how I'm going to spend my time and how I'm going to spend my work time. So it's been kind of interesting even to see myself of just being like, we and our businesses, we just mature and we're just gonna approach situations in different ways depending on where you are at that stage. And yes, because I've been able to work with corporate, I do consulting in user experience design with them. So that also helps, right? That also allows me to have the privilege of just saying no to certain projects in my business, because I know that I have that avenue of, corporate consulting that I can rely on.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Okay, cool. So let's talk about your area of expertise, of course, like designing and launching membership sites. As you know, my listeners, they are health and wellness coaches who are building and growing their businesses. And really one of the struggles for so many of them, and I'm sure you hear this from clients too, is trying to escape that grind of one-to-one work with their clients. I mean, coaching clients one-to-one is really, it's great for lots of reasons. And of course, it's a really good place to start. But eventually, most people find that they'll, reach a ceiling, of course, in terms of time. There's just only so many hours in the day. So a membership site to many people, seems like the answer since it's a leveraged offer. But can you talk to me about how to know if it's a good idea for coaches to create something like that?
I have I have so many different types of memberships that I have built during this time.
Mm.
Almost anything can be translated into an online program or a membership website. My recommendation always is start with your own process. Just keep yourself very honest and write the process you take your clients through from day 1 to a month to 3 months, however long your engagements are, and just kind of like see how can you make that some sort of framework. And even if it's on a membership side, you can do this for your own business just to make your processes better. So once we understand what are the processes we do, like what are the step by step, what that looks like, how do we move people from one stage to the other, you're going to find yourself with a process that you can translate into a framework, and you can identify what are the different artifacts, let's say, like what is that PDF, that video, that quiz, those different things that you need to provide to the clients in every stage so they can go through that transformation. And what I'm saying right now could be applied for one-on-one work to also like one-to-many, right? Which is the idea of online programs and membership websites. It's just the one-to-many model into you bring a group of people and they go through the framework that you create of your processes, of your services, the same way you go one-on-one. And then just identify what are those pieces of your one-on-one engagements that they can translate into. Is it a group call? Is it like a Facebook group? Is it an event? Like, how can you keep that experience of the one-on-one still valuable, even if you have 10, 20, 30 people in a room, right? So it's just creating that process first, creating your framework, understanding the transformation of your clients, understanding what are the things they need, digging deeper also into how they learn better. Sometimes I have clients that come to me with membership websites that are extremely complicated because it's just a library of videos that are very long, right? So you're asking people to sit there, listen for a video for an hour, and then go take some action. That's really hard for people to just sit there and like have that attention span and then go do something. So it will depend on your audience, but maybe your audience is more visual. Maybe your audience is more about audio. Maybe you need a combination of the different mediums so that we can offer information so they can actually feel that they not only are participating, but they can quickly take action. Also, like one of the things that I always recommend is like think what are the things they need to do. If they had a checklist and they could check, what are the things they can do? How long will it take them to do them? And just think of, by knowing them very well, is that time feasible? Are you actually giving them enough time to get the thing that they need to do? Or are they going to feel frustrated and then they're just going to end up leaving? So it's a combination of your own process, creating a framework, understanding your member, understanding what does win look like for them, which sometimes we tend to throw a lot of things at our clients and sometimes they need way less than that, or at least more spread out. And just be very conscious about the time they have to go through the content, to actually take action, and then being an active member of your community.
There is a lot of really helpful tips in there for sure. Yes. Okay. Well, let's see if we can unpack a couple of those things because there is some really helpful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was actually wondering maybe just to back up for a second, because I'm sure that there are some listeners who are wondering if this is even, a smart direction, because it's a project, right? Like to create a membership site, like it's a project. So maybe helping people, I mean, maybe from your experience, like your clients who have pivoted their business into a membership site kind of model, what are the benefits? Like what are the reasons why it's a good thing for your business?
So the good thing is that you're going to have not only the reach to more people, you will have, they can just access it on their own time. They're going to have it's almost like having something available to you 24/7, and you will be able to reach more people even globally, right? But one of the things that I recommend, if you really are in the fence and you don't know if this is for you, just run a beta program. Just maybe send an email and say, hey, I want to try this new thing. Instead of one-on-one, do it in a group type of setting, and I'm just going to deliver it live. So you don't go and build the website, do the videos. You don't need to do that to prove your concept, right? Which is launching what we call an MVP, the most valuable product, right? So you can just go on and maybe get a group of people who raise their hands. Like you decide how much, the number you think you feel comfortable with, and just sort of like take them through the process that you do with a one-on-one person, but in that setting, and just do it live. Maybe it's just the same Zoom calls that you get in with the regular clients. It's just that there's going to be more people, and just take them through the same process. Ask them at the end how they felt, what are the things they feel that needed more support, and just that's going to give you, I mean, that's also like user experience research, right? It's going to give you really how they feel about it and how you feel about it too. Because some people, they love working one-on-one, and once they want to try the whole membership thing, and once they go through it, or like the group coaching, they kind of like figure out that it's not for them. So by just doing some sort of like very, honest live group program, not only you allow your audience to test and see what this looks like and feels like, but also you can just really check if you really want to do this thing, because it is a trend now. So just because it's trendy doesn't mean that everyone should jump and do it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I love that idea. That's just perfect because, let's not overcomplicate it in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just not sure, like keep it nice and simple. Don't go and spend months and months recording all kinds of stuff and creating all kinds of stuff before you even really know if A, it's something that you like to do or want to offer, and B, if it's going to work in this different format, and I guess C, like if people actually want to do it. So yeah, I love that. Just run it live, keep it simple, just have us invite a handful of people. I love that. That's a great way to dip your toe in the water and really see if it's for you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. So let's say that somebody then has, maybe they've done that and they're ready to take it to the next stage, like really design and create a membership site. So tell me about, what are some of the decisions that you need to put it together? Like you started to talk about some of it in terms of mapping out your process and figuring out alternate ways of delivering in a one-to-many format. Tell me a little bit more about that stuff.
Yeah, so basically how you start is from zero, you define what is the transformation of your member, which means where they are at the point when they decide to register, they pull out their credit card and they say, yes, this is for me. And how do they feel a month, 2, 3, however you think that transformation feels like, right? Like just sort of like really understand what they need to achieve. Then you can plan those steps so they can get there, right? So once you plan those steps for them to sort of like move towards that journey, you can also identify what they need to do, achieve, or I don't know, like depending on what you are, do they need to write some sort of like documentation? Do they need to hire someone? Do they need to, what are the things they need to check as done so they know that they're done with this stage and they can move to the next one? And this is very related to what I talked before about your framework. This is very tight with your own process, and then you can see how your own process can help them go through those different stages, get those things done, and move to the next one. And then what you can do is you can understand what is like this, almost like the learning topic of each of the stages. And once you go micro into like seeing the membership and the framework into these different stages, you can just say, okay, in stage 1, they need to learn 1, 2, 3. And that's going to allow you like keep it simple and keep it more actionable. Because the thing that a lot of people have issues with when they launch membership sites is that their members join, they go in and they feel lost because maybe you have a lot of content and they don't have this sort of like guidance. They don't know where to go. They're just like poking around videos and just jumping from here to there. So I always recommend if there's a way for you to give them this almost like onboarding experience. Like if we plan and we create a stage for that initial phase, could be 1 month, could be 2 weeks, could be 3 months, where they can actually feel that someone designed this process, someone designed this transformation. They don't have to make decisions. They just go in, they go with the step by step, and then maybe you have something that is more open. You'll see how not only they're taking more action, they're being more successful, but they're actually being more engaged. And they're going to create the habit of coming back, logging to the website and doing things. Because that's the other thing, like how many things we sign up daily, or like how many things do we have that once you forget about it and you just log in for a couple of days or weeks, it's just hard to get back at it. So I always say, let's design something that from the day they sign up to at least 2 weeks, we give them a start here type of onboarding. What are the 3 things you can do right now so you can just have that first win? And what are the type of content or things we want them to do for the next couple of weeks? So they feel that, they're not alone. Like there's a guide. Someone's like showing them around, like here's the kitchen. Here's, if you need something, you go here and you can grab water. If you want to, I always use this analogy of giving them the tour of the house at the beginning so they can feel that they know where they can go when they need something, and then they can find their own way around it.
Yeah, I love that because you're right. I mean, that is, I mean, I've experienced that too, is like feeling completely, overwhelmed with just way too much stuff and not really knowing where to start. And am I even doing this right? But yeah, so creating an experience for your members when they like that initial welcoming in, give them a tour of the house. I love that analogy. That's so good. Okay. Yeah. So what are some of the other, common mistakes that you've seen people make when designing their membership sites?
I think the first one is because we do this on a daily basis, we think we always want to give so much to our own clients that we might end up overwhelming them. So I'm always like, well, first of all, try to simplify it. If you're doing lessons, videos, and stuff like that, I'd rather have 6 videos that are less than 10 minutes than 1 hour long video where if I didn't finish it or I got interrupted, I'm like, how do I get back to this, flow of listening to this one thing? So keep lessons simple, keep them actionable, give them very clear action steps. Just say, well, to recap, this is what, we went through, give them a little recap and then say, and these are the next steps that you should do. And also the one thing that I love is just tell them what happens if they don't take those steps. What happens if they don't take action? Not because we want to scare them, but it's just this idea of this is why we know you should take the next steps that we are suggesting because if you don't do it, that transformation doesn't happen. The other thing is, well, as I said, first, give them the tour, give them a start here. What do they do? What they can find? Then allow them to just be more bite-sized at the beginning. And as they go through the journey, you can maybe allow them to do more complex stuff, allow them to just take more time to actually implement things. And if you can, whatever platform you're using or whatever way you talk to them, just improve engagement by either recognizing members or doing random questions or adding gamification, things that it feels more like it's a two-way communication and not just them, logging into this website and it feels like there's a human behind there, but they don't get this feedback, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you build community behind? It could be very simple from just by emails or a Slack channel or a Facebook group, but just how do you round up your members to share what they're doing, what they're going through, their experience, but also to connect with each other.
Yeah, because I would think that, community is such a key part, right? I've heard people describe memberships they'll come for the content or whatever it is that they feel that they're getting, but they'll stay for the community. So if you can really do whatever you can to cultivate that sense of community and engagement, then they'll be so much, so much more likely to stay. So I love that. That's a great tip. I'm wondering, if for a coach who wants to set up a membership site for their business, what sort of help and support do you recommend? What does somebody need to actually execute this kind of project?
So I am all about strategy first and then platform agnostic. I feel that if you have a great strategy and if you plan really well what we talked about, the framework, the experience for your user, how you're delivering this thing, you can deliver this in many ways. Could be a YouTube channel, could be a teachable, could be a custom website. So for me, the way that I always help them first, and that's my priority, is the strategy. It's like going through that process of the experience of the member and really defining what is the learning strategy for them. And this starts with like identify your ideal member. Even every time we hear something about the ideal customer member, we all like be like, yeah, I know them so well. But it's a good exercise just to refresh it, design that journey, identify how we allow them to know that they're ready for the next stage, sort of like how this thing could be translated into digital. Is it the videos? How these videos work together? So how do you create this experience online in a way that they feel that they are in the right place? And this is why I always emphasize into that first impression when they join any sort of like online program or membership website, is that, you know, we've all like joined several things in our careers. And like, it's that moment where you put the credit card number, you're like, let me give this thing a try. Let me test drive it, see it's for me, otherwise I'm out. And we have very little, I want to say, I don't know, like we don't allow ourselves to like take too much time to see things. We poke around, and if not, we're out. So the idea of like having them, you know, make them feel that they're in the right place. They put their credit card number, they clicked in, they got an email. What does that email have? How do they log in? Once they log in, do they find a page that welcomes them and introduced with basic things? Then what happens? So it's just like planning the what happens next into that for that new member. So you can sort of like place the pieces together and allow them to know that they're not only in the right place, they made a right decision, and you actually plan this thing because you know what they need at the moment.
Yeah, I would think that those initial, like first few, maybe even like days or like just that really immediate when they first join, because their excitement level is high, but also, like you said, that skepticism of like, let me just see if this is right for me or I'm out of here. So yeah, right. That would be I'm sure that's such a crucial time to really pull them in, make them feel welcome and show and let them know that they are absolutely in the right place and that they made the right decision. You know, I think that I read somewhere that you mentioned that sometimes people end up driving their clients away when they set up a membership site. And I'm kind of curious what you mean by that.
Well, I mean, it happens with any sort of like, even with regular websites. Like sometimes, you know, we see a membership site that is successful and we think that, you know, it's just, can we make my membership look like that? So I can have the same, so almost like replicated, right? And one of the things is that it will work for some people. It will work, but maybe for you it won't work. So my one thing is just like, there's one thing about taking inspiration, other thing being very honest about what are the things why do you think this other membership is so successful beyond if the website has a column here, has 3 videos there, beyond the visual of it. Like if you dig deeper beyond how it looks like, you can really start to identify why do you, why do you think this website works or it doesn't? And I have many clients that come to me and they say, hey, we've been running this program for a while, we're successful, we're ready to step it up. And then sometimes they're like, can we make it just like this? And it's just sort of like, oh, well, you don't really need to do that. And what I try to do with my clients, which at the beginning, they feel that it's a slow process, but it's digging deeper into the why. Like, what does this mean for you? Like, what does it mean for you to bring me screenshots from this other website and just tell me, we just want to do this? Like, what is the why behind it? What do you think is going to work best for your member? What do you think is going to work for you, for your brand, for the message you have to give out? And if you dig into that, you can just maybe take a couple of things as inspiration and implement it, but make it your own way. I'm a big believer that just because for someone specific style, it's like with branding, specific style or layouts or ways of presenting their content, just because you copy it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to get the same success or the same results based on it, right? So it's kind of like, that's why I'm always I love inspiration. I love when clients bring inspiration and they're very honest into why they like the things they like. But I try as much as possible to dig deeper into what it means for them when they ask they sort of like ask to do things like this other company or this other platform or this other influencer.
That's so important. And I mean, in general, for any business decisions, because we're all susceptible to that like comparisonitis trap, right? Like we see somebody else's thing looks amazing. And so you're like, okay, well, let me just replicate that. But it needs to be done for the right decisions. And maybe it would be right. But I love that you peel back the layers and like, okay, well, why? Why do you think this would work for your particular offering and for your clients? And so, yeah, that's great. Okay. So, final question before we wrap up. If you had to distill like all the bits and pieces that we've been talking about down to just like maybe one key piece of advice for a coach who wants to set up a membership site, like what would that be? Like this could be sort of one key mindset shift about this kind of offering, or maybe just like one key thing to do next. What would that be?
I think just think about membership sites. It's about turning your expertise into a platform that is going to bring your business recurrent revenue, and it's going to allow you to scale it up, and it's going to allow you to maybe free up some time that you can spend like growing your business or even with your community. So I try to, it's about that. It's like, how do we translate this one thing, your expertise, what clients are actually paying you to work on today, into something that is scalable? It's more accessible sometimes to some people, because sometimes, in our one-on-one work, there's some people who would love to work with us, but they don't have the means, or they cannot at the moment work with us. So think about, you'll be more accessible to more people. Your impact is going to be bigger because it's just, you're going to be able to impact more people. You can build a part of your business that could be scalable, that you can eventually, grow a team around it, so they can just, take care of the technical things and all that. And you can just be very present and show up for your community. So the way that I always like to see it, and the way that I explain to move my clients when they're a little bit hesitant, is about that. It's about, accessibility to people who maybe they cannot just hire you right now on the one-on-one basis, the bigger impact you're going to create, how to scale your business in a way that it will take less risks, but also, this could allow you to like free some time to maybe you keep working in your one-on-ones, but in a different way. Maybe it's just like less clients, more high touch, because you sort of have this part of your business as recurrent revenue and it's working. So it's a little bit about that. It's how you can transform your business into be something that is more accessible to more people.
Yeah, I love that. Yes. So I'm curious, Jennifer, do you have a project or something that you're working on right now that you're really excited about that you would love to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I'm actually like thinking, because of that same idea of accessibility and because of the year that we've been through, and I know like it's kind of crazy. I'm actually thinking of creating something that is more accessible for people who really want to build their membership websites. And it's all about, around creating those frameworks without that sort of like investment that they would do normally to work one-on-one, come to my company and just do the whole thing, right? So that's something that I'm actually putting together, and like as I recommend that, I'll do some pilot test and see how people feel about it and how I feel about it, and how this could become something that really could be that entry point, and how I can just help more people build these things. Because I know, maybe you take a big course about it, or like you heard about it, but if it's very overwhelming, and it's figuring out the tech, it's figuring out the learning, and then, all that work. So I want to make something that allows people to launch MVPs or beta programs that are easier, less overwhelming, less tech oriented, and more about the transformation and the user experience you want to provide.
Oh, I love that. That sounds fantastic. And it's like you're taking your own advice too.
Yeah, I know.
That is so good. Okay. Well, before I let you go, I would just love for you to tell people where exactly they can go to connect with you and learn more about you and everything that you're doing.
Of course. So you can come to my company's website, candelita.is, and we'll include a link. You can find different resources. I have a pocket book where I share user experience tactics that you can implement in your membership website to increase engagement. I also have a quiz that it's about kind of like figuring out what is the best model to add recurrent revenue to your business. And in social media, you can just find me on Instagram, Twitter, my full name, Jennifer Dopazo, or my company, Candelita Lab.
Awesome. I think I'm going to go take your quiz. That sounds great. Sounds fun. Okay, very cool. I will link all of those things in the show notes too, so that people can easily find that. And yeah, this has been so fun, Jennifer. Thank you for being such a great guest.
Thank you for having me and for inviting me. I love talking about this, and I could spend hours talking about this.
Well, I hope that you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. Jennifer brought a lot of insight and value to the topic of membership sites, and I hope that it helped you to give you some ideas on the things that you need to consider before creating your own membership site. I'd love to know what your big takeaway was from today, and I'd also be curious to know your thoughts on membership sites. Is this something that you're considering creating for your business, or have you already created and launched a membership? I would love to hear all about it. Find me on Instagram. I'm at Dr. Kim Foster, and tag me in a post or send me a DM. I am always keen to hear from listeners. Also, along those lines, if you've been a regular listener of this podcast and you haven't left me a rating or a review yet, I would really appreciate if you would take just a couple of minutes to do that. It really means a lot to me. And of course, it helps other people find and listen to this podcast. Now, before you go, I've got one final announcement. If you are listening in real time, then it's the very end of August, and that means that I'm going to be starting my fall launch of the Wellness Coach Academy next week, once we get into September. The Wellness Coach Academy, if you haven't heard me talk about this program before, this is my flagship coach training and certification program, and I only run 3 cohorts of this program each year. So the September class will be the last time that I open enrollment for this program in 2021. After that, the next class will be in January 2022, which sounds kind of crazy when I say it out loud, but here we are, closing in on the end of another year. Anyway, I will be offering a really great early bird back to school pricing for the Wellness Coach Academy very soon, so you definitely want to be on the lookout for that. Really, the best way to get on the wait list and to learn more about the program is to attend my free masterclass, How to Chart a Path to Your Dream Career as a Wellness Coach. And you can reserve a seat for that class at drkimfoster.com/become a coach. I will put the link to that in the show notes too, to make it nice and easy. All right, that brings us to the end of this episode. So have an amazing rest of your day, and I will talk to you again next week. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Now, if you enjoyed this episode and you are excited to learn even more about how to pursue a career as a health and wellness coach, I would love to invite you to attend my free online class called How to Chart a Path to Your Dream Career as a Wellness Coach: the 3 secrets for stepping into a meaningful new career without wasting time or money. This class is especially for women who are interested in becoming wellness coaches and building a freedom-based business, but aren't sure how to get there and what to do first. Inside this workshop, I'll be teaching you the 3 biggest myths about health and wellness coaching that will hold you back and what the truth is instead. And I will also teach you the most important thing that you need to do to get transformative results for your clients, which will enable you to build a profitable business as a wellness coach and step into this incredible career. So if that sounds like something that you need to attend, then I invite you to grab a spot in this class. Head over to drkimfoster.com/become a coach, and that's where you can reserve your seat. All the info is on that page, everything you need to know, and you can just go ahead and choose the time that works for you. And then I will see you there.